coming, Kurt. I think I've missed a few people. I'd like to point out Dave Carlo's a former city councilman, I think a two-term member. Glad you're here. Mindy McGee, the chairman of the Jefferson County Republican Party, is there in the back. Hi, Mindy. Thanks for coming. Dave Adams, former clerk treasurer and member of the Police Merit Board. Glad to see Dave here and his wife, his lovely wife. Now, Jim, if you want to come up and speak. State Representative Jim Lucas. I always like listening to Jim speak.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. I know this is real quick and unannounced, but I do appreciate the opportunity to come up here and say a few words. My name is Jim Lucas. I'm the state representative for District 69, which includes most parts of Jackson County, Jennings County, Jefferson, and a little half a township up in Bartholomew. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, a life benefactor member of the NRA, life member of Gun Owners of America, and a gold member of the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association. My belief in our natural right to keep and bear arms is firm and absolute, bar none. I think our right to life is our most natural, sacred right. Therefore, the right to defend that is equally important. But as was said earlier, with great rights come great responsibilities. So I'm not going to sit up here and repeat most every great thing that's been said this morning, other than to emphasize that we exercise, if you choose to exercise your right to defend yourself, that you take that right responsible and make available all the resources that have been presented to you today. If you're not sure, contact your local police department or sheriff. I mean, we heard from them personally up here today how supportive they are of this great right. So it's incumbent upon you to use those resources. If anybody has any questions from me, I'm not going to sit up here and ramble. We've all heard everything that's great and applies today. Contact me if there's anything I can do for you in that manner, any direction I can send you, anything I can help you with. Please don't hesitate. So, yes?
I do have a question, Mr. Representative.
Yes, sir.
And it's basically the interchange between the federal government and the state government. And I've found out that not only does the Department of Homeland Security have a police force, its own police force, that's not the Federal Protective Service that's charged with protecting federal buildings, but they actually have Department of Homeland Security police cars. And they also have a Homeland Security investigative police force. I know that we have a training facility at Piscatatuck. I'm a little leery, and I've heard the thing, and they've passed in the United States House of Representatives a prohibition against the DHS purchasing that $1 billion rounds of ammunition. So it's not just an internet thing, but I charge you, as well as Senator Smith, as well as, I'm not sure who gets it, but the idea as far as you helping be one of our lines of defense against our intrusive federal government.
I agree 100%. Just as my freshman year, this was my first year as state representative, I introduced an amendment on Senate Bill 1, which was, Senate Bill 1 was designed to provide it was a $10 million grant to provide funding to help schools apply for and put in a school resource officer in the schools. Well, $10 million, it was a 2-year grant. We all know how this works with government. Grants get out there, they look nice, it's a great headline. 2 years later, it's gone. My amendment that I proposed mandated that every school, every public or charter school in the state of Indiana, have at least one armed person on their facility. Now, got a lot of press, a lot of unexpected press. I'm a small government guy. I don't like mandates from government. But the purpose behind my mandate was basically forcing the hands of the locals to do something about a problem that we know exists. Everybody's aware of Sandy Hook. I believe the 6-month anniversary was yesterday or just this week. I dove into that and studied that when Sandy Hook was the textbook example of a school doing everything right, yet things still going horribly wrong. Sandy Hook had a brand new security system installed. The school was locked down. So they did everything textbook that we're being told we need to do now. Adam Lanza, the shooter that morning, who laws apparently meant nothing to, the first law he broke that morning, he shot his mother in the head multiple times. So we can put more laws on the books. One more law or 1,000 more laws aren't going to matter to people like that. Now, he got to the school, he shot his way in. Now, what was the first thing they did? They called people with guns to get there as soon as possible. So, and the sad part is, well, the loss of life obviously is tragic. You had 26 people killed that day, 20 children and 6 adults. All 6 adults, females, did the only thing they could do. They were defenseless and unarmed. The only thing they could do, they either rushed the shooter or they used their bodies as shields to try and protect children. Now imagine if government recognized their natural right to defend themselves, that outcome could have been a whole lot different. Well, people say, well, let's put an armed guard in every school. Well, armed guards, really, when you look at the basis of that, there's approximately 2,000 schools in the state of Indiana. One armed guard at $50,000 a head is about $100 million each and every year. That I think we could better take those resources and apply either in education or allowing teachers through training and tactics to allow them to defend themselves. So there's both sides to that story there. We look at Columbine. Columbine happened 14 years ago, and that was essentially the first school shooting incident that we've come to accept. Well, Columbine had an armed guard. And the naysayers there said, well, there were still people killed at Columbine. True. But we can't let perfect be the enemy in something like this. Okay, Columbine had one armed guard on site. There were 2 shooters. Now, mind you, the schools hadn't been prepared for active shooting up until now. 1 armed guard, 2 shooters, 13 deaths. Horrible? Yes. Compare that to 14 years later with the benefit of hindsight in Sandy Hook, school locked down, security system. You only had 1 armed guard, you had 26 casualties. Now, generally what we've seen is active shooter scenarios pretty well end when the shooter's confronted. Now, my thought on allowing teachers to defend themselves is, I don't call upon, I don't believe teachers should be a SWAT team, but speed bump. You know, keep the shooter engaged, or if nothing else, there's going to be that deterrent factor that we have to consider. You know, these people that go in and commit these evil deeds, they may be crazy, they're not stupid. So we have to accept the responsibility and the reality that in today's world, these things are here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. As much as we can wish it's not going to happen, it's happening all too often and all too regular. And to disarm innocent people and take away their means of self-defense, to me, is the true crime. During this episode, I'll make this quick and I'll take questions. I was interviewed by a gentleman up in Chicago, and he tried to corner me, and he said, you know, up here in Chicago, we have a horrible problem with gun violence. I said, yes, you do. I acknowledge that. He said, a lot of people say the reason because of that is because guns are so easy to get down in Indiana, they're bringing them up here to Chicago. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to mention his name. It was a live radio report, so I had an opportunity to get my point in there. I said, well, 2 points I see right there. I said, Chicago has some of the worst gun violence in the nation, but they also have some of the most strict gun laws in the nation. So I said, how are those laws working out for you? He didn't really say anything. He said, well, the reason, you know, a lot of people say we have this violence is because guns are so easy to get in Indiana, they're transporting them up here and bringing them up to Chicago. I said, okay, if that's the case, how come us Hoosiers aren't killing ourselves at the pace you guys are? We have to approach this problem, ladies and gentlemen, with common sense, truth, reason, facts, and logic. And when you look at the facts, according to the FBI in 2011, you know, we hear how assault rifles are this evil thing. Okay, each year there's about 2.5 million people that die or get killed each year. Horrible. Each one's a tragedy. That's life. Okay, look at the facts. I believe according to the FBI, firearms deaths are going down. But in 2011, I believe there were about 8,600 homicides by firearm, with the vast majority of those committed with a handgun. When you look at rifles, there were 323 deaths homicides with rifles that year. Now, according to the FBI, there were also, I believe, 496 homicides committed with hammers or blunt objects, or 728 homicides committed with hands, feet, or fists. So, each death is tragic. I want to make that crystal clear. We have to acknowledge that. But putting everything in perspective and keeping things in mind with what's going on, and the fact that those deaths are going down, I mean, we can't lose sight of that. So, with that being said, I'll questions? Rick, you're the moderator. Anybody have any questions or anything I can answer?
All the different committees in Washington, D.C., Congress and other committees.
I can't hear you, sir.
I said, I'm in different committees in Washington, D.C., and the Congress, the Senate, and other things. And I served this country. I was drafted in 1963, but I have some things to say about the schools and what's going on. And I believe that you can make a better security system for the school if you set up the right type of stuff like they got in the airport. Monitor these people before they get into the second door to the children. It wouldn't cost that much to put a machine to monitor, and that monitor would go straight to the sheriff's department where they can see this unmanned animal gun. Because it's already got the technology. Pull up and see you here and see where you are somewhere else. This would better protect the children than just putting one person in a school to protect the children. Some schools got 500, some got 2,000 or 3,000. The universities saw, but they have these cameras where when you go into the second door of the school, these things here, when you walk through, they automatically monitor whether you got a weapon or whatever, just like they do at the airport. And that probably helped a lot of children out of schools.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, you brought up something, would all the vets stand, please? I always mean to do this. Anyone who's served our country, would you mind standing? Thank you. We all owe you. Thank you so much. We have a couple little things that I want to make sure we cover. If anybody doesn't have a copy of the Constitution, I have some up here. See me before you leave. I'll give you a free copy of the Constitution you can read, and then you can tell Michael Israel all about it next time. Also, I want to remind you, if you came in late or if you didn't get a chance to enter into our drawing, there's a bucket. It's back there, okay. Red, white, and blue bucket and little pieces of paper. If you don't have your name in that bucket and you would like to be in this drawing for one of the free courses that Mr. Snelling gives, make sure you go back there and get your name in that bucket. And then Allison Frazier has sat here so patiently and listened to all this, and I asked her if she had any words to sort of help us out here to end this, if she's got any ideas on what she's heard today that she can clarify for us. So Judge Allison Frazier.